everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. It's Tuesday today and I'm here with a sketch challenge for you. So we'll make a card. I'm going to make a card for New Year's and use some of the More Dazzle specialty paper and one of the stamp sets from this September to December mini catalog. I think it's retiring. It's called Cheers to the Season. So we'll make the card now. If you miss any of the measurements as I'm going through, the measurements will go live on Instagram and Facebook in about a half hour's time, so you can grab them from there. All right, I'm going to switch over to my desktop and we'll get started. And hopefully this will come into focus in just a minute. And I forgot my sketch, which somewhere is over here. I always forget something. All right, here's the sketch. So this is the sketch that will go live. So your card base is 5.5 by 8.5. It's a landscape card. 2 pieces of 1 1/4 by 4. Now I'm adding a layer behind it that is 4 inches by 5 1/4, just because I wanted some black. I'm using a basic white card base and I wanted some black behind it. 2 pieces of 1 1/4 by 4. And then a piece in the middle, which I am going to just use the black in the middle. That's my full piece. And it would be 2.5 by 4 if you were going to put, hey Pam, a piece in the middle. And then any shape that's roughly 2.5 by 2.5, or any shape that will kind of fit in that middle section. And your sentiment, I've said 3/4 of an inch by 3.5. No matter, for all sentiments, just make it so that it fits your card or your sentiment. Hey Deborah, hey Pam, welcome. All right, so I'm going to use the Cheers to the Season, and I'm using, because it's New Year's, this Cheers, this glass with cheers on it. And then I'm going to use for the sentiment, cheers to you and the new year as another sentiment. So I've got a piece of thick basic white cardstock. Now when I make a card base from basic white, I always use the thick, just because it stands up a little nicer. So it's 5.5 by 8.5, and we will score it at 4 1/4. And as always, we fold into the mountain or the raised line. So that's our card base. Now, as I said, I've got a piece of basic black that is 4 inches by 5 1/4. Now, if you're going to do it according to the sketch, you would have 2 pieces that are 1 1/4 by 4 and a piece in the middle that's 2.5 by 4. But I'm going to do it like this. I think these are the, yeah. So this is the More Dazzle, because New Year's always has some glitter. So I've got 2 pieces that are 1 1/4 by 4 that are going to fit down the edge. Now, I think this will be okay. I'm going to use Stampin' Seal. Usually I use liquid glue, but when I'm using glitter paper, I think I don't need to with this paper. The glimmer paper seems to have a bit of a kind of a rubber or a plasticky back. And so often when I'm using glimmer paper, I use Tear and Tape adhesive, but this one I'm gonna just use Stampin' Seal. So we'll put those down so you can kind of see. The only thing that's different between my front and this one is I'm not having these white lines were on this one, but it's pretty close to the sketch. So that's going to go on like that. But what I want to do before I do that is I'm going to do some heat embossing with gold, because, again, this is for New Year's, and so we need some gold. So I'm actually going to do my glass. I want those as well. My glass I'm going to emboss on black in using the gold embossing powder. And we've got the sentiment that we're going to do some embossing with as well. Now, my stamp just looks a little dirty, so we're going to clean it first. It might just be that it's kept some. Oh no, it definitely was dirty. I didn't clean it before it went away. Sometimes I'm a little lazy. Okay, so that will fit on like that. So I've got my embossing buddy here. So just going to give this piece of basic black a little bit of a clean with that embossing buddy. It just takes the static away when you're doing heat embossing. So we're going to stamp our glass with the cheers on it in Versamark. And then I'm going to put gold. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same with the sentiment. I'm going to stamp this actually a couple of times because I'm going to cut these words out and I just might need two of them to get all the words out. We'll see, maybe not. All right, close up my embossing powder before it gets all over the place, and then your heat tool. So when you're using sorry, I'm looking for my little brush. There it is. Just I've got a fingerprint here. There we go. All right, so when you're using your heat tool, you want it on high and you want to hold it in one spot until it starts to melt, and then you can start moving it around. So hopefully I hold this up like that. I'll try not to burn my fingers. And you'll start to see the magic. Heat embossing was one of the very first techniques that I learned to do. So this is a distinctive stamp. So there's lots of texture or kind of detail to this part or to this image. So there we go. So we've got our cheers done. And now we'll do the sentiments. There. Now I always let these dry for just a minute because sometimes I found if you go kind of at them too quickly, they can smudge. So while that's drying, I'm just going to take and adhere this piece of basic black to our card base. I don't make a lot of New Year's cards, but I'm in a blog hop that needs a New Year's card. All right, so I'm going to take and fussy cut. There are no dies for this this stamp, so if you want to do it, if you want to cut these out, you'll have to grab your paper snips. So I'm just, as always, steer with the hand that's got the paper, or steer with paper, basically. So there are two shades of gold, which I didn't realize until a little while ago. In the more dazzle paper, there is this gold, and then there's another shade of one that is a little yellower. Probably would have been better with this, but with the embossing powder that I chose. But isn't that cool? There we go. So we're going to use some dimensionals. I'm almost to the end of this sheet that got wet. I'm just going to cut. I just kind of cut around with my paper snips to use the outside edge of these, and then we can just apply. The nice part about using it up, you can thanks Diana, you can make them as long as you need. So we'll just take and put that one there. All right, so this is going to go right on like that. Now I cut out a piece of this. I'm going to see. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the sentiment. So my sketch, if you remember, my sketch looked like this. So it's got the sentiment across. I may end up not using. I was thinking maybe I was going to put that across and put my sentiment on. But for the moment, I'm just going to cut my words out. And we might just pop them up. And I may not use the cheers because I have the cheers already from my glass. So I can just pop these words across the middle. All right, so cheers to you and the new year. There we go. So we'll use mini dimensionals for these because they're not big enough for regular size. So I'm just going to put a mini dimensional on each end of this one. So we'll put that like that, to you and the. Make sure I get my words going the right way. To you and the. I need to pop this up a little bit. Move it slightly up a little bit. Cheers to you and the new year. And I'm going to take that one off the middle so it doesn't pop that up any further. There. Oops. I think I forgot to take the backing off the one side. There we go. That's better. All right, my glittery card. I grabbed some of, these are the Neutrals adhesive back sequence, and they come in bronze, copper, white, and gold. So of course, we'll use some of the gold ones. Almost looks like the bubbles from champagne, like that. And on the inside of the card, there are these little bubbles, a stamp. And I grabbed some wild wheat because it's gold. And rather than do any heat embossing on the inside of my card, which I could do, I'm just going to stamp these bubbles in wild wheat. Oh dear. Hopefully you can watch the replay, Mern. Sorry that it's cutting out. Doesn't seem to be freezing, but there we go. There is my glittery New Year's card. Pretty close to my sketch, other than I didn't put a separate piece in the middle. I just used the black. And again, I've used, this is the throughout the year sentiment, stamp sentiment. Perfect, all sorts of sentiments. And the other one is cheers to the season, which is really pretty there's 3 different seasons for this one and the little bubbles. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. Now, I will be back live tomorrow with a technique for you. So hopefully you can join me at 2 o'clock tomorrow, and we'll see what technique I'm going to do. Don't forget that the sketch will go live in about 15 minutes time on Instagram and Facebook. So you can grab it there if you missed any of the measurements. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Hope you have a great day. Happy stamping. Bye.